completely wrong. And the FBI needs to be purged of individuals that have this and think that these logos are examples of violent extremism, because they're not. As a matter of fact, most regular Americans all over America have these symbols and logos, and do not think Ashli Babbitt is any way, shape, or form a person that inspires them to attack the United States government.
Marjorie Greene supports violent extremist groups. She wants them out there thriving. And so when the FBI, I guess, is looking into some of the symbols they use, which we'll discuss, that are ways that they can tell which groups might have a predisposition towards violence, it is her job to come out and immediately defend them, to run cover for these groups who are plotting acts of violence in America. And we don't even know if the thing that she's freaking out about with the FBI is even true. What we do know is that supposedly Project Veritas, so major grains of salt, has found this domestic terrorism symbols guide. It includes common images such as the Betsy Ross flag, the Gadsden flag, the Gonzales battle flag, and the Liberty tree. The FBI, apparently in the bulletin, stresses that simply using the symbols or terms is not evidence of wrongdoing. So this is not something where they're locking up people because they have a flag out or anything like that. But it does talk about the symbols that some of these groups use and the martyrs that they worship, including Ashli Babbitt. Now, again, we don't know that this is even legit, although there's some reason to believe so. But even if it is legit, again, they're not locking people up for using these symbols. And we know that these groups often do use these symbols to organize around, to advertise in. And despite what she would have you believe, no, most Americans don't have the Gonzales battle flag outside of their house. Most people don't have images of the Liberty tree on the back of their Accord. That is not actually the case. But it gets even more ridiculous when you move past the battle flags and stuff like that to some of the other symbols that she wants to defend. Take a look at this.
Now here's one that I find extremely shocking. The Punisher skull. And you remember the Punisher logo? If you remember Chris Kyle, the great American sniper that we consider to be a hero, who had a record number of kills over in Iraq and during this time he was able to kill terrorists, the kind of terrorists that Joe Biden took credit for just the other night, by the way. Terrorists that were killing American soldiers, terrorists that were intent on attacking the United States. Thank God for Chris Kyle. He's a patriot. He's a great American. But they consider the Punisher skull, which the Punisher logo represented his entire group. They had it on their Humvee. They had it on much of their clothing, their bags. But now the Punisher skull is considered to be militia violent extremism.
She doesn't even know what order those words are supposed to go in or what words even mean. She's hardly able to express herself, but she does know that she likes him for one reason. He was able to kill, he killed a lot, And that's really all that it takes. She knows that he killed a lot of people. Also, she didn't want to give Biden credit for killing a terrorist, literally earlier this week. But you just said that that's the best thing you can do. And this wasn't just a run-of-the-mill terrorist. Ayman al-Zawahiri was the leader. He was organized, so it's weird that she doesn't want to give him credit. Anyway, the Punisher logo definitely is used by people whose interest is not upholding the constitutional order and those sorts of things. Regardless of whether one sniper you like might have used it, who's using it these days? And what does it represent? I'll remind you, in case you're not big into comics, Frank the Punisher Castle first appeared back in 1974, and since then he's been busy amassing one of the highest body counts in the Marvel universe. He's killed over 48,500 people as of a decade ago. Now, he often uses torture, kidnapping, and coercion because he's fighting against crime and police corruption. Of course, as with everything, once you put a symbol out there, it will be co-opted and perverted. Now, something that it was meant to imply that we will use any means to stop police corruption has been co-opted by cops as a show of undying loyalty to other cops, no matter what those cops do, no matter which laws they break, no matter how many people they brutalize or kill. It is cops saying cops can do whatever they want. That's what it's for. She knows that. However, she likes that. And so again, the cover continues to be run, Brett, She knows these symbols are not always used by violent people, but they are often used by violent people, and she wants to delude people about that.
Lists like this do smell a little bit of like rap music and video games are bad. Like there is an overlap with the logic of that, right? But this does, no one's going out there. The fact that Project Veritas had to like quote theoretically go deep in their investigative journalism to find out that there's a guidebook of iconography and not exclusive affiliation, but frequent crossover. Something that everybody freaking knows anyway. Like she then, I get it. Like it's not exactly the cool. I'm like, no one's like, oh, if you have this flag, you're absolutely terrible. Sometimes you're just kind of douchey and you're like, come and take it. But I will say that this same woman is saying that like, even though there's a list out there that says some people with this flag are affiliated with right-wing extremist terrorist inclinations, like, she's saying that all teachers are groomers, right? All trans people are trying to molest your kids. That is a much more ridiculous jump in logic than what a book inside the FBI about things that frequently bear out to be true mean.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, they're not locking people up who use these symbols.
It's just indicators of whether it walks like a duck. Like if you're putting together an argument, does it walk like a terrorist? Well, and we all freaking know this. I just don't get it. I'm very frustrated, especially what you said about like most regular Americans have this. No. And here is like the central theme we need to lean into, especially after the vote in Kansas against abortion for abortion rights in Kansas. We need to understand that what people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and others try to convince you is normal America stuff is provably further and further away from what most normal Americans want. This rightward swing of the American political policy-making system that people like Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert endorse is unpopular. It's just popular enough for them to cobble together these crazies to shore up the unpopularity of their very provably elitist tax and capital approach to legislation in this country.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.